Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out why yesterday's chats are still there so that I can see your new chats. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. I'm not a pastor. I'm just a regular old ordinary person. What kind of pup am I getting? I don't know that that's exactly uh, safe to say, but I am getting a Belgian Malinois. So, for any of you that want to know a little bit about Belgian Malinois, um, they are very high energy, super intelligent, and I'm getting it as a protection dog. So, we are preparing our home for our new arrival. So, hi everybody, and I'm sure that many of you are glad that I didn't go afro. Some people like my hat, and some people thought that I had an afro. So I'm going to give it about maybe a minute more to let people come in because this is a presentation. It's not like a question and answer. If you have questions, the best thing is to jot them down. You can put them in the chat, and put a question mark before it, whether it's in the chat or whether it's in the comments, and I will get to it. I have a 6:30 interview this evening. It's just crazy. I've got research for tomorrow's interview or tomorrow's broadcast. So yes, Patty Knight, I am sure that I need this particular dog. So I did do my homework. I have been doing my homework for the better part of a year. So yeah, flying dog. Yes, they are great dogs. And it's what will be very good for my particular situation. So, okay, yes, I'm not getting a puppy. I am getting a fully trained Belgian Malinois. So, I won't be doing the training. I have a Navy SEAL that is doing the training for me. So, anyway, he will be ready to go, but there will be that transition period, where I'm going to have to, like, he's got to bond with me. I've got to become his handler, and then we have the whole two dog experience. Like, how is the Queen Mississippi going to take having a, a Belgian Malinois? We'll see. So yeah. So I expect that mine will be about 2 or 3 years old. So with that, we should probably get started. This is quite the presentation. And as we start, I want you to be thinking about that we have just all been blue teamed. You all were wondering about the blue on the certain roofs. Well, in military circles, in emergency management, there's when we war game, I'm talking past tense when I was part. You would have the red team, which are the hostile forces, and the blue team, which are the friendly forces. So I just want let's go to the screen. I'm going to share my screen on the blue team so you can just see a tiny bit about it, and then we'll dig into the major part. So the blue team is a group of individuals who perform an analysis of information systems to ensure security, identify security flaws, verify the effectiveness of security measures, and make certain all security measures will continue to be effective after the implementation. Um, they use risk intelligence and digital footprint analysis to find and fix vulnerabilities and prevent possible security incidents. So I'm going to go down here a little bit. So in incident response, let's say for the LA wildfires, a blue teaming will be involved in the preparation, the identification, the containment, the eradication, the recovery, and the lessons learned. So this was on Wikipedia. You can look at some military or emergency management sources if you like. But I just wanted you to know that that's why we have the blue roofs and the kind of the gravitation to blue. Those are the friendly forces. But I am very no, I am extremely concerned at the direction that we are heading into a technocracy. And I think that you might agree with me after this presentation. So, without further ado, many of you are probably familiar with the NASA Strategic Warfare 2025 document that was put out by Bushnell in 2001. Now, many of you did not know, or if you were paying attention, that this is a living document. There's about the original with about like 114 pages. There were 30 pages that were static. And then as things went operational, 30 slides would change. So that was pretty interesting. So unless you saved the copy that you're actually looking at with the date and everything, if you went to do, let's say, an internet search, it's always changing, and hence the living document. So, but for 2025, we have a new variance on it. Some of there'll be just a few slides that were in the original uh, NASA Strategic Warfare 2025 document, but we have one just for the war at hand. So let's see what we're looking at for 2025. This is from government and military sources, you guys. So I'm going to, whoops, first I got to share my screen or it's not going to do any good. You guys won't see it at all. Hold on. Okay, here we go. It's 48 pages. I cannot see the chat right now. So if you do have a question, put a question mark. I'll try and answer a few, but this is pretty long. So this is 2025. This is where we're at. In the original NASA document, it talked about the then year, and we are in the then year right now. And now we are going to look at the capabilities of the enemy after next. And what is this going to involve? This is going to include ongoing worldwide technological revolutions, and that is what we saw on Inauguration Day, and economic trends, potential nature of farther term warfare. Okay, let's see if I can get this down. There you go. Okay. This is the Reader's Digest version of a 2-hour presentation that was put together at the request of the Army War College and SSI. I did try to access that. I am able to access many of the Army War College information, go to conferences and that type of thing, but I was unable to secure the original 2-hour presentation. If you are very creative and very good with the computer, if you could find that, I would love to have it. The presentation was written up by Bill Stryker of DIA, The Futures as a Future Threat for Global War Games. And basically, what we've been seeing since about 1990 is the gaming of the military, gaming of the government, and gaming of all of us. And it is supposedly the original presentation is on IntelNet, and that is the little bad boy that I could not get into. And I don't break into classified things, so I wasn't gonna, and I wouldn't know how to hack if you try. Now, who were the actors in all of this? These are the people and the organizations involved with the futures work. So I'll give you just a second to take a look at almost all the major actors are here, and many, many more, actually, especially as of the inauguration. There will be many more added to this list. So now we're going to talk about utilization and application of the 2025 plus projections. We are going to have inputs to future warfighting concepts, and they will include the enemy after next, which we will be talking about in this presentation, and also blue. And we just talked about the blue team, and those are the supposedly our friendly forces helping us into the technocratic world. So the inputs to new procurement decisions will be for about the next 15 plus years to produce the infrastructure that they want. And for it will have a lifespan supposedly of 40 plus years in inventory. I find that really hard to believe because we've broken Moore's law. And like, I don't know how much past Moore's law we are. So I don't know how they can keep that inventory in use for 40 years. Heads up for the Intel community with watches, warnings, and inputs. Inputs from the Department of Defense Research and Development Planning. I don't have a slideshow, so I have to kind of do it kind of funky here. So going into 2025, here are some assumptions. Politics can and does change overnight. For instance, Russia, Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, and even the United States, if I might put it humbly. Potential capabilities is the future warfare issue, not who, but what. An order of 10 plus years is required to develop and field these new systems that they're bringing on board right now. I would not consider they have fast tracked this now. So, yes, since 1990, there's been a lot of things in the mix, but now we're going to see a whole new set of, of research and development and fielding of these new systems. And like I said, they said 30 to 40 years, and they should be designed for middle of the inventory period, hence the 2025 time period. What they want to do is be ready for 2050. The first children that were entangled with artificial intelligence were born in 2020. And what they want is 2050 is basically their bottom line for the future super soldiers, if you will. Currently, we have an order of 70% of the world's research being conducted outside the USA. I see that all the time in my journals, whether it's India or China or other different countries. Rarely do I see an American name. And in an order of 70% of the research, US research, now is commercial as opposed to government sponsored. But now, I mean, you may say, oh, that sounds really wonderful, Celeste, that it's in the commercial market. And yes, I agree, there's some advantages to having some in the commercial market. But what we have now is the integration of government and the private industry. It's known as a public private partnership. And that's what we saw President Trump announce last night. The three CEOs of these tech companies for AI that are going to give $500 billion. So they're the commercial part, but President Trump is supporting that. And to me, that is extremely dangerous, super extremely dangerous. Now, these two pages of the slides are from the old one. This is the technological ages of humankind. And of course, if you're a biblical person, don't look at the millions of years. Just look at the development of what they consider technology. As of 2020, we were in the bio-nano age, but now we have actually moved this year, 2025, we are moving into the virtual range. So the hunter-gatherer and nature provided agriculture, they controlled nature and plants and animals in the industrial age. They mechanized agriculture in the IT, bio, and nano. They automated industry and agriculture. And in the last age, in this age that's just starting now, is the virtualization or the robotization of the IT, bio, nano industry, agriculture. But it will be more than just agriculture. It's going to seep into the medical. It's going to seep into, if you like cars, um, or whatever we're going to be, whatever transportation they allot for us. And I would also say that they are generating worlds in this. They kind of get our eyes focused on the robotization, but they're not really talking that they're generating these portals that we just go into and live our life in there until we're depopulated. Okay, the worldwide IT revolution, um, comms, computing, sensors, electronics. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's really going to explode this year. The US commercial IT research and development is at 100 billion. We just saw that go up. I think they quoted 800 billion, and even into the trillions this year. The factor of 1 million further improvement of silicon, molecular, quantum, biological, and optical. So the silicon is your robots, your molecular is probably in medicine, but also breaking all matter down to its molecular form to re-engineer it into another form that they want. The quantum, it's very entangled with mathematics and quantum physics and all of that. And it does some almost magical qualities to it. Biological, we're pretty familiar with that, although it's going to really change this year. So we're going to have to keep our eyes open. We all know about the PCR test and vaccines and stuff, but they will be taking this to the next level. And optical, I believe that they're talking about optical beams. There was mention in all of the signing for the executive orders of optical iron dome optical lasers are going to be really prominent. In the past, with Havana syndrome, we saw acoustical direct energy weapons, but now we're moving more into the optical direct energy weapons beyond human AI. And so we're looking at post human world, quite frankly, where most people, not all people, but most people will be integrated with artificial intelligence and or some type of robotization. Then there's the automatics, the robotics in the large, which means some people say in the large, some people say in the wild, some people say in the commercial market. So basically, they're going to be everywhere. It's going to be in your face. And many of the jobs that you and I do right now will be um, done by a robot in the future. Immersive multisensory VR holodecks. I think that we're already seeing it started launching in December of 2024. This virtual reality, augmented reality, we will not be able to trust our senses. I just saw yesterday, the day before, time flies when you're having fun. Um, the UFOs being spotted in the flames. Were those really UFOs, or what was the particulates, which provide a white screen for holography, Project Bluebeam? Um, uh, were those being employed? Was this really, do the aliens in the UFOs really care about a wildfire? Personally, I do believe it's a multi-sensory um, exercise down there. Ubiquitous, multi-physics, hyperspectral, sensors, land, sea, air. And I would add to that interdimensional. And I talk about that quite a bit. I think we're going to see a lot of interdimensional activity. Micro and nano sats. I don't know what GNC is. I did try to look up some of these acronyms, but I worked in the government, so I know they love their acronyms. And you might think you have the acronym, but sometimes there's acronyms that, um, like GNC, there might be 10 different things that have the acronym GNC. Okay, so what is the impact of ongoing IT revolution upon society? What are we going to see in 2025? We are going to see telecommuting, teleshopping, tele-entertainment, teletravel, tele-education, telemedicine, telecommerce, telepolitics, and telesocialization. This was part of one of the previous iterations of this, but they're just re-emphasizing to us that from now on, most of our world is going to be through our devices. Inexpensive, motivational, asynchronous, web based distanced education enables the demise of the US underclasses. And that's what I'm really concerned about. We'll talk about the other one in a minute, but that the underclasses are going to be severely at a disadvantage. It will be the young people and the tech people that are going to be um, not in a threatened state, let's say. Wealth creation from enabled inventions such as the Bitcoin. So they're going to say, and President Trump has said through his campaign and through his inauguration, we're going to have all this wealth creation, but this is virtual. This is not tangible. And it's only going to be for some people, and it's not going to be for everyone. The tech giants, the tech titans, as they're referred to, will have a ton of money. But will you and I have a lot of money? I do not believe so. Everything that I've seen, I would say no. The stabilization of the world population, um, I don't know about that one. I don't know. They We'll see. We'll see what happens. I guess I'll have to review this at the end of the year. Even more rapid technology diffusion that's getting it into, and we'll see this again in a few moments, every home and every foxhole. The equalization of the haves and the have nots. Basically, that is your basic income, and everybody will have the same except for the elite that are running the show. Altered political and military outlooks worldwide. The internet changes everything. So, what is the IT status projected for 2025? And I wasn't really sure what these numbers were, the 10E6 improvements in computing. Maybe it's 10 times, but they didn't put it that way since 1959. 10E8, further possibility for the next 30 years. 10E3 provides better than human capabilities. I don't like that statement. That's replacing humans. And already there's talk of taking the humans out of the loop because they do not have the processing power that artificial intelligence has. And supposedly we need to quickly solve all these problems all at one time. But the problem is AI can have hallucinations. It can be biased. We don't know. It's starting to teach itself. So how do we deal with that? And where does mankind fit in that scenario? 100 million telecommuters worldwide now, and that is expected at least to double in 15 years. So I know that President Trump signed a or executive order that the government workers had to go into work instead of telecommuting, and this military NASA document kind of flies in the face of that. So are they just there temporarily? I don't know the answer to that, but inquiring minds want to know. India graduates 3 times more software engineers than the US. More software is written in Bangalore than in Southern California. Now, get this last statement before I go on. The IW, which is information warfare, effectively constitutes the fourth um, weapons of mass destruction. So basically, they are going to unleash, and they did unleash in 2020 information warfare. Nine out of every $10 was spent on it, and it is the fourth weapon of mass destruction. In this worldwide economy, our ability to create wealth is not bounded by physical limits or resources, but our ability to come up with new ideas. And I would say, unless you are able to come up with new ideas, you are not going to do the traditional, I'm going to work hard and buy a house and a car and live a good life. It's going to be your innovation, your new ideas. It's in the virtual space, not really in the physical space. However, even universal wealth will not be able to obviate the other causes of warfare, which include politics, faith, religion, megalomania, and territorial disputes. What is the current competitive landscape? The US produces only 18% of the world's GDP. 70% of research is conducted offshore, 300 billion a year in trade deficit. 32 other nations devote a larger percentage of their GDP to research, the fifth in the number of research and development, as well as in the personnel and labor unit. Uh, 3% savings versus 30% savings in Asia, and a proliferation of IT, bio, nano, space, technology, etc. Okay, so what does the bio-revolution applications include? We are all familiar with all the apps that we have on our devices, and these are the apps that you are going to see coming in 2025. Some have already begun being initiated, but they will be perfected. Farm animals to grow drugs or be drugs and spare parts. Fast-growing plants on or near the sea surface and sea water, irrigated plants for biomass energy in a closed CO2 cycle. Now, how they're going to do a closed CO2 cycle with that, I don't have the answer to that. Um, I think that that's why they're tweaking our atmosphere, but to make it close, but I'm not exactly positive. Polymer growing plants. This has been around for a while now since GMO. They have been growing polymer plants. Spider genes in goats, allowing for spider silk spinning from goat milk for biosteel, which is 3.5 times the strength of aramid fibers for armor. Now, that actually began in 1990. I was in a goat chat. I had goats, and my business partner had goats, and we always went to the weekly goat chat. And this man from Pennsylvania uh, 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 had a herd of 5,000 goats, and he was genetically altering them with the spiders. And he inquired if we would be interested in selling our goats for the purpose of making Kevlar. And we said, no, we're not interested. Thank you very much. But that was like about 1990. So we can also expect binary bioweaponry. Okay, what are the advantages of shallow sea desert production of biomass via seawater irrigation? There is this closed CO2 cycle, which obviates global warming, supposedly, food, petrochemical feedstock for materials and clothing, energy, and ending the reliance on the Middle East. And we heard that, oh, was that yesterday or the day of the inauguration? We are going to end our reliance on the Middle East for energy. So this one's already, on the calendar, so to speak. There's going to be more terraforming and alter desertification. There's preservation and production of fresh water. and I don't know how they're going to do that, although I have my Solaris water generator and atmospheric generate so atmospheric generator, and it does bring out water from the air, which is very nice and very convenient, and it doesn't have all the garbage that the water companies put in. Rich mineral sources in seawater, I think they're gonna be harvesting anything that has value as far as resources and utilization of the wastelands, like the Sahara, and I have to laugh because this is their global takeover of the world comes simultaneously with this time in history of the Earth's natural cycle where the Sahara Desert goes green and places other places go arid and places that were considered wasteland turn green. So, I mean, they're not really responsible for it, but they're gonna take credit for it. Okay, carbon nanotubes. This is the C 1,000,000 Buckminster fullerene carbon. That's why I'm a little concerned about carbon nanotubes. 100 times in strength, 1/6 the weight of steel, 8 times better armor, low energy, molecular, petaflop computing, ultracapacitor, high temperatures, and non-cryo storage. Okay, we're also and we've already begun hearing I started hearing towards the fall of last year about freeform fabrication. We're going to see powder and wire metallurgy using robotic magnetically steered electron beams. There's those beams for you to create accretion local melts and grow instead of cut. So we're going to be growing these powder wire metallurgy robotic magnetically steered things by I mean it just sounds very Twilight Zone. No fasteners, no strong backs for fasteners, near infinite fatigue life, excellent metallurgy, repairable metals at a lower weight, and far more expensive composites. Of course, they're going to try and tell us all the good stuff, but they won't tell us all the bad stuff, like it's in your air and they're going to put it in you and all this kind of stuff. Aluminum vortex combustor, the micro powdered aluminum fed into a vortex combustor burns seawater. Now I have racked my brain, and if you have some ideas of why they would want to burn seawater, sounds very dangerous to me. And if it can burn seawater, what does it do to biological life? Put that in the comment section, please. Provides AIP with high energy density and efficiency for inexpensive, and I didn't know what SS and near SS and PERF was. Didn't know what it was. And transoceanic UUVs would allow for the enemy after next to affordably threaten Qantas via multitudinous inshore short time of flight pop-ups. We've all probably watched like a spy movie or intelligence movie, and when they're training, for training, they have these pop-ups and, you're shooting them, just they're popping up here and there, or they could be popping over your head or whatever. So, I think that this is what they're talking about, that they'll be able to just be kind of inshore as close as they can get, and then they'll just up just a short pop-up flight and threaten the continental United States. Okay, let's look at the newer sensors that we're gonna be seeing in 2025. Like I said, some have already been deployed, but some will be far more advanced as we go from 2025 into the future. So LiDAR with 50% efficiency via the SC optical amplifiers and also the femtosecond lasers, molecular and biosensors. That really creeps me out. Nanotags. I've been talking about nanotags since like 19, no, maybe, I don't know, at least since COVID, but it was before COVID. Yeah, it was before COVID. I had a chat with David Icke about the nano tagging of everything, but we're going to find out a little bit more in this presentation about the nano tags. Smart card sensors, believe it or not, so there's this lipstick I really love. And I just get that. Well, I don't even know if you can see it. There's this lipstick that I really love. And so I wanted to order another one because I only get one unless I really like it. So I went to order one, I think it was yesterday, and I went to my computer and I was on the website to order the lipstick, and the thing put it in my cart. The thing has a sensor in there, and it automatically knew that I wanted that lipstick, and it had to have read it because I was just on the front page of the company. So I was like, "What did they embed in my lipstick?" I have no idea. Anyway, then they're moving on. Sensors implanted during manufacturing and servicing. So we are going to have to be careful whenever we have something manufactured or serviced. Uh, Nano infrared with a sensitivity of 10E6. And then, of course, the old smart dust that's been around forever. Well, not forever, but now here are some sensor swarms. And I really wonder if those scarab beetle swarms that I saw last summer were not a DARPA swarm. I really, I wonder because I've never seen bugs like that, and nor did I see them swarm in the way that they did. So smart dust, a cubic millimeter or less, combined sensors, comms, and power supply. This question I get a lot is, okay, if the grid goes down, will the smart dust and the smart sensors go down? No, they harvest their energy from the environment. If that is in your body, they will harvest your life force. If they're out in the environment, some are gather it from the sunlight, um, some gather it from moisture, some gather it from pH. So uh, if the grade goes down, these little babies, the smart dust babies, are still in the air and they are still active, and they have both receivers and transmitters. So they are both giving information and receiving information. And this was new to me that they float in the air for up to 2 years. So they do have a shelf life, which I did not know that smart dust had a shelf life. So here's the nano tags. I told you we'd get to it in a moment. Placed on everything, everywhere. Everything will be nano tagged. When did this start? October 31st, 2005. And they've been working towards this golden age of 2025 where everything will be nano tagged. It will be for identification and status and or compliance information, co-opted insects, which is why I think those scarab beetles were part of the DARPA swarm. Whether they were mechanized or not, I don't know. Okay, givens. What are the givens from now, this January 2025, to soon? Gigabyte data transfer rates with optical comms. Once again, I think optical lasers are going to be involved. Many of you wanted to know about the fiber optic cable. This is the reason for that. The teraflop to petaflop computing, exceptional AI from bioinformatics to biomimetics, wondrous and ubiquitous land, sea, air, space, multi-physics, hyperspectral sensor swarms, military, commercial, and scientific. And I don't like that they've used the word wondrous, although we do know that the Antichrist, when he comes on this scene, will do many signs and wonders. And so, are we surprised at this? I'm not. The survival requires a dispersion and size reduction, as well as concealment. And robotic swarm technologies, primarily commercial, endemic worldwide. So it's going to be like they're the natural species of the planet instead of biological life. What has been agreed upon? this is agreed upon, everyone. Assumption combat in 2025. The proliferation of TBMs, IT, precision strike targeting, ubiquitous microsensors, camo spoofing, robotics, biological and chemical munitions, logistic asset, highly vulnerable in and out of the theater, in and near the theater, ports, airfields possibly are going to become unusable. And beam weapons, do I have to say it again? Beam weapons, increasingly prevalent. And that's going to be your optical beam. Volumetric weaponry. What can we expect? EMPs, info, net, and psi warfare, miniature brilliant sensor and mine combinations, fuel air and dust air, radio frequency, obviously, bio. Now, this is really important. The chemical, biological, and what are they going to do? um, Anti-functional and anti-fauna. So they are going to disable the bodies of all biological life, your brain, your body, so that you're not able to fight and resist, and anti-fauna. There are isomers and strain bond energy releases and carbon fibers and acoustics. So there will be some acoustical weapons in here. I'm not saying they're going to get rid of them all, but they're going to primarily go to optical. Some very interesting things for the then year, which is this year, is the biological warfare possibilities. And that's aflatoxin, which is a natural parts per billion carcinogen. Aflatoxin comes from moldy grains. It's when they get wet and they get moldy. And it's been known for a long time that they were carcinogenic. Airborne varieties of Ebola and Lassa and many, many others. They've got so many pathogens, they are lined up like cordwood. Binary agents distributed via imported products, vitamins, clothing, food. So be especially careful this year of any vitamins, clothing, and food that you get from imported sources. From this year forward, yes, we should do American. Not that I think American is going to be any different, but we can hope. Genomically individual and societal targeted pathogens, which means they can find, like mosquitoes could be programmed to find a particular genome or an individual or even a whole society of individuals. Long-term fingerprintless campaign as opposed to shock and awe biological warfare. And remember, I've been talking about it for the last few weeks, this fingerprintless and signatureless campaigns. And we are in smack in the middle of them right now. And what does that do? Basically, in the past, when there was, let's say, a weapon used, there was evidence left behind. They have developed the technology to erase the um, evidence. So that's where we're at right now. The blast wave accelerator, I'm not sure about this one. I mean, I know that it's in the works, but I'm not that familiar with it. It's a global precision strike on the cheap. There's no barrel. There's 100-foot notched rails sequentially detonated. It's Mach 27 or less as desired, up to 3,000 pounds, the base anywhere, 200-pound of projectile, no excellent stealth, no plume, affordability, ferocity, reaction time, survivability, recalability, effectiveness, being worked at Aberdeen, and NASA. So maybe I am a little familiar with this. I have to think about it. There's the Slingatron for global precision strikes. These two were in the previous NASA strategic warfare documents. 10 kilogram projectiles up to thousands a minute, global or less range, $20 million device, mechanical on the ground propulsion via gyrating spiral guide tube, a multiple hula hoop, basically, a poor man's global precision strike and takedown weapon. Then your targeting and connectivity, the military. So this is something, this slide, please pay attention to. The military has overheads and systems above our heads. Ubiquitous commercial has overheads and systems over our heads. Scientific overhead systems. So we've got everybody up there in space or in the upper, very low orbiting satellites or whatever in the context. Well, you can see what it has to say about that. I get to my next page here because I do want to get to some of your questions. We got 20 pages left. A summary of the major influences on IT, bio, nano upon future warfare, ubiquitous, miniaturized, networked, multi-physics, hyperspectral sensors, robotics and automatics in the large or basically in the commercial market, long range precision, strike and targeting. They got that down. Info and net warfare. We know that, many of us. Mini, micro, nano sats, cruises and UAVs, binary bioweaponry, we just saw that, and miniature ubiquitous smart mines. I haven't explored that too much. I did in 2020. Potential future orders of magnitude increases in overall weapon effectiveness and availability at the orders of magnitude of reduced cost. And so I'll let you just look at that for a minute. It starts with the biochem molecular nanocomputing, and it works its way down all the way to the cyber artificial life, beyond AI. So, what is beyond AI? I don't know. I don't know what they have hatched up for us. Okay, potential en route logistic vulnerabilities. Logistic surface ships and aircraft are non-LO and undefended, could be targeted and treated inside the continental shelf by these. They're called eggs. They're subsurface floating encapsulated missiles implanted by freighters. Think of it as the underwater, those weather balloons that China put over the United States. Think of these as the underwater version of that. And the torps, the missiles, and the sub-SAMs, the transoceanic UUVs and UAVs, the blast accelerator, cruise, and TBMs, and also mines. The fundamental problem with future U.S. power projection. EN can have country-sized magazines filled with hordes of inexpensive precision strike munitions and area denial. U.S. forces run out of bullets and die. Beam weapons are not a panacea. Inexpensive workarounds are available. So they might not use the beam weapons. They might just use the acoustic ones, which I think are less expensive. Deep water subs. And I'm going to, well, in a minute, I'll show you a picture of them. The inshore detection. This is for our coastlines. What are the things that we have for inshore detection? And I would say that we actually could have it on the border. Whether we're going to have it on the border, I don't know. The things like visual LiDAR, infrared, bioluminescence, of course, turbidity would be just in the water. Um, Pressure perturbation effect on water column chemistry. I think that's kind of interesting. Internal waves and surface waves. So they're going to mess with the surfactant layer in water, and it's going to affect the wakes, and the atmosphere. And I don't know what MODS is. Magnetics, comms, periscope, and radar, and neutron fluxes. And it's operated on take a vote. So that's a key word. Now we're going to look at the picture of this thing from DARPA. That's the like the balloon I said, this is the technology that they're talking about. And so this is an alternative. It's a spherical submarine. It obviates wave drag via submergence, um, optical structural configuration, optical Goldschmied propulsion integration. I do believe that whether it's under the water or in the air above us, they are experimenting with alternative propulsion. And I think that's part of what the drones on the East Coast were. That's just a guess. Minimal wetted area and volume, onboarded polymer plant. I'm not that much interested in the off the coast, but why do I have to be concerned about off the coast? Because this is the then year, which is 2025, direct CONUS attack capabilities. 80% of the continental United States population and infrastructure lives within 50 miles of the coastline. Um, that's 80%. If they went down in a massive attack, we would be in trouble. And so these are all the different ways that they could attack. There's more than one way. The last one I thought was really interesting. Uh, a Trojan horse civilian system. Hmm, very interesting, I do say. So the big thing going forward, even though they're throwing billions of dollars on it. So I don't really understand how it can be called warfare on the cheap, but that's what they call it. Info and net warfare, binary warfare, which is that functional and anti-fauna, non-lethal, but we know that non-lethal can be lethal. Miniature brilliant sensor mines, micro nanosats, these precision long cruise missiles, and the blast accelerator. Then your peer competitors no longer defined by megatonnage of obsolescent industrial age steel and aluminum artifacts. The drastically reduced entry investment enabled by warfare on the cheap ensures that almost every nation and sizable organization can become very worrisome military peer. Fundamental military issues and metrics, affordability. The military wants warfare on the cheap. Survivability, that's very important. You can see everything, and anything you can see, you can kill. And effectiveness, the lethality of the precision and volumetric warfare. And let's see, let me get down. Only have a few more slides left here. Given the superb, ubiquitous worldwide sensor suites and precision strike capabilities, the then year, 2025, the following will not be survivable. So you can see the list of things that are not survivable. It's not really talking about people per se, but more like weaponry. This is a trend summary of what we've just covered. There's going to be tele everything. US is just one of the crowd economically, which means they are going to be successful in leveling the playing field economically for the whole world. Warfare on the cheap has many potential peers. Warfare will be increasingly robotic. survivability and affordable power projection via deep water subs and blast wave accelerators, and the CONUS and logistics defense increasingly worrisome. Circa 2025, machines as creative and smart as humans, robotics will become the norm. The zeroth order or the war stopper, the binary bio into the nation's agriculture and food distribution system, every home and every foxhole. And I have been telling you that because I got it from the World Economic Forum that this had been accomplished in 2021, or maybe it was their precursor for it, but they said that this was in every home in 2021. Let's leave it at that. Next level of concern, ubiquitous, cheap, and micro to nano everything from sensors to munitions to weapons to swarms and hordes. And battlefield attrition, the CNN syndrome, forces the US Army to look and act like SOCOM, kind of like the intelligence agencies, uh, the really, flashy. And that's because there will be, they say in the previous documents that Americans would be, I do believe, tortured in living color on TV and during prime time. Suggested major U.S. Future 2025 warfare issues, CONUS defense, logistics and defense protection in and out of the theater. So I'm getting the impression from this theater being around the United States that that these wars that we have done in other countries are going to be coming to the United States. That's what I'm gathering from this. The survivability and effectiveness of U.S. forces on or near the killing ground in an area of affordable, ubiquitous, multi-physics, hyperspectral sensors, precision strikes, volumetric weaponry, and swarms and hardened munitions. There is going to be the non-explosive warfare, which they define as the psychological operations, the bio war, the IT, the net war, anti-operability war, beam weaponry. So direct energy weapons are not considered just swallowed wrong. I think that's the last one. Oh, okay. So, beam weaponry and direct energy weapons are not considered, they're considered non-explosive warfare, which is surprising. Robotic warfare in the large, better than human, AI, and cyber life. And alternative power projection, deep water and depths and death spheres and blast wave accelerators. Another day, I might tell you some stories about that. Future power projection, humans hold instead of take ground and go in after sanitization. Sanitization occurs via the information war, the psychological war, the global reach guns, deep water subs and different things, robotic everything. So basically, when they roboticize everything, we are going to be sanitized. This is from, past, this was not new. It refers back to the hunter-gatherer, agricultural, industrial, IT, bio, and nano. Let's see if there's anything here. This is the technical war games, and remember, last week we covered, the Hunger Games, and it's very similar. And I think this is the last one. What is needed is a then year. And this one, it was a longer vision of these changes would enable mapping from the present, not at all clear how to get there from here, as we don't know where there is. So that is it for the sharing. So now, oh dear. Okay. Phew. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go down to the very bottom, see if anybody has any questions. I've been on here for an hour. I can probably take about 20 minutes of questions if you're interested in knowing something. I'm looking for those question marks. Bingo, it's a pickle. You're going to have to talk to me on a different platform about that because of community standards. Good question, though. Peggy, it is a PDF, so you can find it, but make sure you get the right one. There's a lot of different ones. I got the one called Future Warfare underscore S F00 underscore Bushnell. That's the one that I got. You just want to make sure, like I said, there are many iterations, and as things go operational, like in 3 months, like in March or April, this slide that I downloaded or this presentation may look entirely different than it does right now, especially because things are going so fast. Let's see. Okay, I'm going up and looking for the question mark. Nick S. After all that, do you think this is the last generation? I think it's very possible. Nick S. I'm not talking Nikki Glazer. I'm not talking about pathogenic viruses. I'm talking about pathogens, most of which have frequency, if you know what I mean. Let's see. Is LIDAR the one? This is Michelle Woodson. Is LIDAR the one that causes seizure in sensitive folks? It can, but microwave is a big one that causes seizures. And the ELF, very ELF. It's ELF. Look up ELF. Um, yes, smart dust has been around for a long time. Not so many questions today. This must have been comprehensive and you understood it good. Or well. Are Christians? Yes, Karen Scott. They did talk about in this that there would be targeted populations. So yes. I mean, they haven't explicitly said that yet, but this is very evil plan. This is not a God's plan, not at all. Let's see. Yes, Patty Knight, Iron Dome. If you go to, I think it's Shepherd's Heart. I did one of my articles on direct energy weapons, and I can, if you're really interested, email me at Celeste at Celestial Report, and I'll try and find that one. It was recently, it was like last year I did it, and it was on Iron Dome and the Iron or the, um it's not only the protective, but it's the lasers that they're gonna be using. What do you mean about the 2020 babies? This is Tita Hammy. Um, so in 2020, of course, there was a biological attack on all of the population, as you know, and those babies are connected in some way to the quantum computer, and they will live their all their days in a highly technological world. So they were um, it's kind of they were prepared for that. Let's just put it that way. I have to be careful what I say here. Let's see. Let me go back down to the bottom if there's any questions. Pen Pandora Chaser 2. Yes, there are some of the black-eyed super advanced um, babies. Richard, no response. I guess I didn't see yours, Richard. I'm back down at the bottom, if you want to go ahead and put your question down, I will answer it. It's just hard looking at a lot of as things are scrolling. It's not static, so it's like my eyes go wonky. When do you think the hybrid animals and creatures will appear? They already began in 2000. So there was something, go to Shepherd's Heart Life, go to my news blog, and the alien, well, let me show you. Hold on. Let me share screen. Oops, can't share screen until I get it up. Hold on just a sec. Okay, now I'll share my screen if I can get it up. Oh, there it is. I didn't think I did. So here's so in I wrote this in 2018, and I was talking about this new classification of life, um called the Philo Code right here. And so I give you all the information. You actually can look up the Philo Code. It's in Wikipedia. You can actually go to the website Philo Code, and basically they were preparing for new forms of life that had never been not never some hybrids never seen on Earth before, but also uh, things like angels, demons, these different types of hybrids, interdimensional beings, disembodied spirits, and they were making room for all of this in the organizational chart. It took them 10 years to make the to develop the Philo Code. It was a new classification of life. Up until then, only the classification of life was the linear system, and in 2019, the beginning of 2019, the Philo Code was codified. And by the fall of 2019, you know what appeared on the screen, or on the world, in the world. So it was not by accident. So that's 2019 is when it pretty much started. Except, I mean, you've got your basic, even in 1990, they had like genetically modified things. So why stay alive? Because Christy Hart, that is such a good question. It is because if you were born If you're alive today, you have a very special calling. You are not here by accident. You have a purpose. I don't know. Maybe it is to give one person who desperately needs a smile or a hug or maybe some muffins or to sing a beautiful song or to make a patchwork quilt. I don't know what your giftings are, but I know that you have been given gifts by God, and this is the time to use them to bless people. Um, that is why we stay alive, for the glory of God, and He's given us these gifts, and He wants us to use them. It is why I do what I do, because I care for each one of you. I not only want to prepare my home, I want to help prepare your home. And since I have been in the trenches of this world that I just was describing, you know, I can help to answer your questions or whatever. So I do my little part, but I can't be everything to all people, and all of us have different gifts. So I hope and pray that you share your gift. When will they reanimate the Nephilim? This year is very possible. They were repatriating the Giants in 2019 with a little extra help with hydrogel to reanimate them. So it would, Crafty Nana, it might very well be this year, or at least we'll see some things like maybe the Giants of old coming back, or even somebody like Nimrod or one of the pharaohs. Xbox gaming. You were born in 2000. I don't believe you were. 2000 is different than 2020. So I think you're safe. You were born under the wire. Don't worry. And even if you were, there are ways to extricate technology from your body. And I have talked about that. So look at some of my videos, especially with Dan Duvall. And he was working developing synthetic biology, but then he developed prayers to counter it. Let's see. The copy gal. Since you are getting a protection dog around September, you're anticipating things around then. Um, Actually, it just takes, I'm not getting a dog from this country. I'm getting a dog from out of the country. So, uh, so that's why it takes time. And then it will be go through a series of training. I'm sure it will be trained, then it will go through some further training, and then I'll be training it. So actually, September is really good for me because I have to get Mississippi prepared for a friend. Richard, do you know about the clay and iron mixture? They will get crevices and sores and want to die, but AI wanted won't let them. Yes, I know about the iron and the clay and the iron and that it doesn't mix. And at some point, people are going to pay an increasing price because you were biological. You were created in the divine image of God. That's not to be taken lightly. And as you upload stuff, technological stuff, I'm not talking about thoughts, what you're thinking or reading or whatever. But as you onboard into your body mechanical frequency, these different types of technologies, then you're going to have problems. Now, only when the mark comes on, we'll know for sure. Most vitamins are synthetic now. Yes, that's true. That's why it's really important to grow your own nutrient dense food at home, like I do, even though it even though it takes a little bit of work. Let's see, I'm looking for Richards. Is Fauci still involved in this, Linda Burkell? Yes, I would think that he is. Once you're in the club, well, I can't say that. I can't say that because people have said that about me. But I went into it in a totally different way. Let's see. Let's see. Ice cream flavored, not with Scottish whiskey. Hmm, I don't know. I would get some Scottish whiskey and just make homemade ice cream with it. That's what I would do. What other YouTube channels do I recommend to watch? There's not very many that I watch. I watch Suspicious Observers because I'm an avid space weather watcher because we do have this cycle, constellation cycle and the cycle 11,000 year cycle. So that one, I like David Dubine because he gives a lot of good information. And so those are about the two that I watch. Don't forget, I'm hitting the books, you guys. I'm hitting the documents. No time to watch YouTube, unfortunately. Oh, thank you, Seven Mighty Cedars. Yes, please pray for my Maligator. I wasn't even going to tell anybody, but you're kind of like my family, and um, there's some nasty people out there, and I don't want the Maligator hurt. But that's part of the reason for getting the Maligator. So anyway, I'm going to love it. Does FEMA, Stuart Ridgway, does FEMA or the UN know that Jesus is on his way? I, there are individuals, yes, and even in the DoD, in the military, everywhere. Um, uh, there are some individuals, but as an agency or whatever, I don't know of any agency that has declared that Jesus Christ is Lord and that he's coming back. Xbox gaming official, would you say tattoos are safe? No, no. I mean, you've had old ones, so they were safer back in the day. Now I wouldn't touch them just because of the chemicals in the dyes. And once you get them in there, and then if it did do some things inside your body, um, you could be hurt. So let's just say that the old dyes were much safer than the newer things that they're coming up with. That's about all I can say on this platform. Yes, Richard, those that take the mark. Yeah, CERN, Babe King. Yes, CERN is concerning. Um, they have a new one that for subscribers, and I hope you all would consider being a subscriber. Even a one-time donation would help. Like I just have to buy this book. It used to be a free resource on the internet, and now I have to buy the blasted book because there's that old saying that those that do not study history are doomed to repeat it. And so I have to get this book. And it was about some of the depopulation stuff that's going on now. And I used to have the book, but as you know, all know, I just left with two suitcases. So there you go. Okay, Mick. Would you assume Elon is the maker of the mark? No, I think he is part of the tech titans that may develop it. And I think it's well underway. The precursor of the mark actually came down from the UN to the United States, to the individual states. There was a fierce battle. I was working on that, boots on the ground, October 31st, 2005. And that originally was called the National Animal Identification System. It is now called traceability. It is the law of the world. And it basically has three tenets. All property belongs to the government. That includes your house, that includes your car, that includes your body. The second is an alphanumeric number with a country asset code to be electronically identified. And depending on what type of species you are, it was to be located, that mark was to be located in the part of the body that was holy unto God. Very interesting. And the third was 24/7 surveillance. And isn't that what we're seeing now? Dee Dee, you can garden a little bit, even if you have a bad spine. You could have a few pots in your house with some sage and parsley, or some beets. You don't have to do some heavy duty gardening, but you could do a little bit. Let's see. I don't know if I've ever had single malt SB, so, but I will look into it if I ever decide to make whiskey ice cream. Oh, I've got some whipping cream in there, and I best not waste it. Maybe I better make ice cream, although it's too cold to make ice cream. It's pretty cold here. It's not minus 55, thank God. We're past the bubble. It's just normal stuff. Okay. Let's see. Okay, 3 more minutes, and then I'm gonna look really quick. Okay, the Copy Gal Malinois are awesome dogs. My 8-month-old German Shepherd's play date is a 6-month-old female Mallee. I am so glad that you're taking this step. I am too. I'm so excited, scared and excited at the same time. Jordan Glass, what is the name of the book? Which book? Uh, if you put it down, I will try and answer that. Um, do you think, let's see, I am Clay now. Do you think that the weight loss shots are dangerous? Absolutely. I wouldn't take it. It's synthetic peptides. They don't tell you that. They say they're peptides. They're synthetics, and people are having a ton of different side effects and dangerous. Many have ended up in the hospital. I think even Oprah ended up in the hospital. So, oh yes, I like Enter the Stars. Okay, everybody. I think, okay, Dee Dee. Well, I will pray that somebody will use their gift and bring you some fresh vegetables. Maybe put in the comments when I'm off what state you live in, and maybe we can look around and somebody could help you out. I'm always giving. I always have a corner of my garden that I give to other people that are less fortunate than me, or in a situation that they can't garden. So anyway, we'll help. I mean, this is what family does. So, okay, this is the last one. Xbox gaming, you get the last one. Celeste, have you studied or researched the dangerous medication called? Nope, I've never heard of it. So, can't help because I've never heard of it. So, anyway, well, God bless you. Tomorrow I mean, it's like 1:30 here, and I have to finish my presentation for you on the smoke, and it's going to be a doozy. And whether you live in a wildfire area or not, I think it would behoove you to tune in because that smoke travels, and it travels all the way around the world, and you will encounter that smoke, so you are going to want to know what's in it, because if you start getting symptomatic, you need to know how to navigate that whole thing. But I'm not going to be talking about solutions tomorrow because it will be enough to get through. Like it's a little bit of work even just defining all the chemicals and that type of thing that is in the wildfire smoke. But I think that this is the season. You need to know it. It's particulate warfare. And so we need to know. So until tomorrow, God bless you. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye. Don't forget, you can subscribe to my channel to support my work at celestialreport2.com. And as you can see, I do provide lengthy free content, and I do provide free content and videos, articles, videos at celestialreport2.com. So you'll be happy about that. And it really does help. This is warfare. And if you, those of you on the front line, you already know it costs time and money. And it does for me as well. And I have to go buy that book. After I get off, I think I have to go buy that book that I really was trying to find it free, but now everything is pay to play. So anyway, see you tomorrow. God bless. Bye.